Well, listen, I'm just gonna give the guys a bit of a background of how you and I know each other, and tell them a little bit about you, and then I asked everyone to send some questions in for you today, and I'm sure we're going to get some more while we're on this. But I mean, the Instagram was beeping all day with 15, 16, 20 questions from guys who are all super excited to ask you stuff and hear hear about your story. I've actually known JP, not super long, but I guess like a lot of relationships I've made of late. I think it's more about the experiences you share than the length of time that you've actually known each other. And we met when JP came on my podcast, and I always smile when I say this because it was a relationship that should probably never have lasted past that first day. But when I first started recording my podcast, I used to live in London at the time, and I used to batch record every once or twice a month in my apartment. And JP was the first person to come for filming one morning, and as always, I was late up. I was disorganized, and I'm running around. I've got a towel wrapped around my waist. I'm eating last night's dinner, which is like a microwave Chinese food with a spoon. And JP walks in, and as you'll get to know as you listen to him tonight, and as you'll see if you follow JP, he's the ultimate professional. He's super high performance. He's super organized, and I was just this relax more on eating junk food, and we sat down to speak, and I got JP's name wrong, because obviously we would call him JP, which is Jean Pierre, but I thought it was John Paul, and it was all going very, very wrong. But we got past this. We did some filming, and we recorded what at the time. Well, I say at the time, it still is, but what certainly at the time was my most popular interview. A guy that people were messaging me talking about how inspirational he was and the content was. JP and I just really hit it off. Since then, we went skiing together last year, and again, as you get to know some of JP's stories, I mean, the guy arrived on a skiing holiday, I think you've been on a dry slope once in the UK, is that right?
Yeah, indoor slope.
He'd been once on an indoor slope in the UK, arrived on a skiing holiday with us, and tries to come out on the first day, and we're like, do you not want to get some lessons or something? He's like, oh no, I've watched it on YouTube. I think I'll be fine, and literally taught himself to ski, and by the end of the week was on the black runs, and we've been great friends ever since then. And last May, I think was it May? Yeah, May time. Yeah. JP was travelling from John O'Groats to Land's End. Is that where he was doing a bike challenge from John O'Groats to Land's End, which is effectively the harder way of doing Land's End to John O'Groats. And on his second to last day. When he was putting on some extra mileage, because it was supposed to be 1,000 miles?
1,000 miles in 10 days.
It was 1,000 miles in 10 days challenge, and near the last day, JP realised that he'd probably be about 12 or 20 miles short of this. So added on a bit of extra journey to make sure he hadn't shortchanged anyone who was sponsoring him. And on this bit, gets hit. I think you were going down a hill. The car was coming up a hill. Gets hit in a hit-and-run accident. And I posted a couple of pictures earlier. I mean, if you go on JP's page, you'll see that I always call it like Uri Geller's cutlery. I mean the mangled bike that was there. JP was wedged between a barrier and a tree, got airlifted off, and I mean we're nearly a year on, and he's still effectively in recovery. But how he survived it at the time is a miracle. Which I guess is a testament to his both physical and mental strength.
True.
But JP's not a business coach per se, but he's a peak performance coach. He's a certainty coach, and he kind of works with businessmen, with entrepreneurs, with sports people. I guess with anyone who's probably already got an underlying talent, it may be fair to say, who wants to bring out the best in them. I mean, we've recorded together a lot. We pick each other's brains. JP's certainly someone I very much look up to. and he keeps me in one of his WhatsApp fitness accountability groups, which I'm probably the worst one in there. But I know that you guys are gonna love to hear from him and talk. So I'll let you fire away a bit, JP, and then I'll chuck in some of these questions that people have been asking you.
Awesome, man. First of all, Matt, I just want to say thanks for sharing your space with me, man.
Anytime, buddy.
I like how you just said that you look up to me, and you look up to me in certain area or certain areas, and it's exactly the same for me. So it's a real privilege, put the fucking flattery aside. It's a real privilege to be here connecting with you again, because I really look, when it comes to business, mate, and work ethic, I really, really look up to you. So I believe that every single relationship in our life has to be our underlying fair mutual exchange. And for me, with you, I just want to spend more time with you and other people in my life that give me a fair exchange, because the more I give to that relationship and the more I get. So it's a pleasure to give here to your community, your tribe and stuff.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man, just fire the questions away. It's been 10 months since my accident. Corona couldn't have come at a fucking worse time. I was like just coming out of the hole and getting back on track, and then it's like slam. But
I thought as well for you, for the guys listening, yeah, this is why you'd be such a relevant person to have to talk to as well. Someone who's overcome all the challenges, setbacks, life changing situations you've had. And I guess Corona is almost like a walk in the park. But a lot of the questions people have been asking are around mindset and certainty and positivity. But Marissa Reyes has said, this will get us going. Marissa has said, what are the common mistakes people make when they are trying to change their lives? And I guess if changing people's lives, for the better is very much your space, mate. So I'll throw it over to you.
Awesome, man. So two things that come to mind. Is it Marissa?
Yeah, Marissa, yeah.
Two things that come to mind, Marissa. And the first one is not holding themselves responsible. Like, if you are going to try and change anything in your life, especially if you're going to come work with me as a coaching client, like the number one thing we're going to address is, do you take full responsibility for everything that is and isn't in your life or your business? If you don't, and you are to a degree or to a percentage playing the blame game, like this is not going to work, because you need to take full ownership of your life so that we can go to work, rather than giving other people permission to take ownership of your attitude and your emotions and your feelings and stuff. Because really, when you blame others for the situation that you're in, maybe you have negative health and you blame it on your friends. Maybe you have a limiting mindset and you blame your parents, right? That's not going to help you take action on your life. So number one, and the thing that I teach with my students, with my clients, and the first thing I'm going to say here is, for you to change your life, you've first got to go to the drawing board or look in the mirror, and you've got to write down on the mirror or write down on the drawing board, I am 100% responsible for what I'm about to do today, for everything that I feel today, every connection I make or don't make, and every single direction I put my next foot in. So that's number one. Number two, I would say, probably what has been the number one most important thing. So to answer your question, the question in a short way, the first thing that people do that is a mistake is they don't hold themselves responsible. And what I mean by that is they also don't just hold themselves responsible, they don't hold themselves accountable. So they go to the course, they go to the webinar, they watch the Instagram live video, and then they go back to their favorite radio station, Blame FM. Oh, that was a great video that Matt did yesterday. Wow, fantastic. You know what? I'm a bit tired. I'll start tomorrow. Or, oh, I lack a bit of this, so I'll wait till things get better for me. Like, there's this great, I think it's a Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. Like, you just got to, excuse my language, but wherever you are, whatever you're in, however you're stuck, you just got to be willing to press the go button. Like, always be willing to press the green button. So I would say the biggest mistake that people make is they don't hold themselves fully responsible, and therefore they wait for an opportunity. They wait to have more money. They wait to have a better connection. They wait to get an investor. They wait to do whatever it is because they're not taking responsibility for where they are. Secondly, I have a saying in my life and in my business: you change your life one day at a time. And I know through my own life experience and through working with the best of the best and through coaching hundreds of people and teaching from state thousands of people and getting feedback from so many different areas, including myself, I know that the power of your future, the power of changing your life lies in the power of your perspective and how you choose to see things. And what's really, really powerful and freeing and liberating is if you understand and take ownership of the fact that you don't have to look beyond today. I'm sure, Matt, in many challenges that you've faced, the deeper the challenge, the short-term your focus. That you just say, I'm just going to focus on today. I'm just going to focus on today.
100%. And I guess not wanting to interrupt, but on a similar vein, I think it's important to see short-term, realistic and tangible changes, for you to keep that motivation as well. And I mean, when it comes to writing business plans, when it comes to reading business plans, of people who are looking for funding, I mean, I'll never look past a 3 to 12 month time frame, because I think beyond then it's impossible to get the crystal ball working.
Yeah.
And I like to work in bite-sized chunks. However bite-sized they are. If you're trying to lose weight, it's 5 press-ups a day, 6 press-ups tomorrow. If you're trying to make money, it's create that product today, sell 1 unit of it tomorrow, sell 2 units of it the day after, and to say, oh, I'm going to be selling 10 million quid's worth of it in 5 years' time. I'm not saying you're not. You've got to go in there with that mindset. But I think if you're looking that far ahead, you're setting yourself challenges and a scope that it's impossible to get passionately attached to, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, 100%. So what I was teeing up to was the second biggest mistake when people try to change their lives or their businesses. It's they make it bigger than it needs to be. 100%, I know that. It's basically what you just discussed. It's what I was sharing before. You're never going to hit 100 grand unless you start aiming for 10 grand. You're never going to hit a marathon if you don't start aiming with a 5K. I told someone just on another live earlier today that I need an operation. I can't bend my legs under pressure because I have a screw sticking out of my femur, out of my thigh, that goes ping, ping, ping on the tendon on my thigh, just above my knee. But my surgery got cancelled. So I want to change my life, let's just say. But I have this excuse and that reason, and good reason, right? There are romantic stories about why I can't do this, then that. But I thought, man, I can still run if I do it like Forrest Gump style, like hardly bend my legs. And if I can manage to hardly bend my legs, could I run a marathon? And I said to this person earlier this morning, I said, you know what, in April, I think I'm going to, because I was meant to do the London Marathon. You sponsored me, right, as an athlete. And I thought, maybe I can run a marathon anyway. And maybe I can do it without hardly bending my legs. And this person said, how the hell are you going to run a marathon? And I said, well, it's very simple. Over the next couple of days, I'll try and run 5K. And that's all I have in my mind.
Oh.
I have the end goal in mind. But so I always talk about the difference between, when it comes to this mistake of making it bigger than it is, I say there's 2-part focus. There's intention and attention. Intention is, where do I want to be? What do I want to do? What's the desired outcome for my business or my life? But then your attention is, what the fuck can you see in front of you? Right? In the law of attraction, they say it's the headlights driving at night. You know where you're going. You trust, the road's going to take you to where you want to go. But you don't sit there and try and focus on the whole road. You just look at what the headlights can see right in front of you. So, second biggest mistake people make when trying to change their lives is they make it bigger than it needs to be. One day at a time. You change your life one day at a time. You improve your business one day at a time. You make sales one day at a time. And if you have a bad day, guess what? Tomorrow is another day. So you can't even go that far in the wrong direction. Like you cannot fail if your attention is on a 24-hour span or time span, as long as you're doing what you need to do in those 24 hours. You know what I mean?
I think as well, what I'd like to just add to that, which is I think semi-relevant, but also feeds on from a lot of what I've been saying the other day, and it made me think when you were talking about the screw coming out of your leg, that that it's easy to make an excuse, why you therefore can't run, and obviously you went on for the example of that, you could hobble it along, but what I was going to say is, there's always something else you can be doing as well.
Yes.
As far as okay, you might not be able to run train right now, but you could do press ups, or you could do arm curls or whatever it may be. And I think that's so relevant to people struggling in business and in finance now in the corona situation, that it's very easy to sit at home or sit with your business and go, well, I can't trade right now. Okay, maybe you can't trade right now, but what else can you do? You can certainly plan for when this is over. You can certainly be putting effort into your marketing. You can certainly be, looking at your business model and seeing what new technologies in this unforeseen circumstance you can embrace. There's either something different you can do, or there's an excuse to keep you at home.
Man, I love that you shared that. There's I say this saying often, I'm sure everyone knows it, rather focus on what you can do as opposed to what you can't do. Like Tony Robbins says, progress is happiness and success. As long as you're making progress, you'll always be happy. You'll always feel successful, right? Because success is a feeling. Happiness is a feeling. And when you're in progress, when you're in momentum, you feel positive emotion, because emotion is energy put into motion. So as long as you're making progress, you're always going to feel happy, successful, etc., etc. So there is nothing about focusing on what you can't do that'll make you progress. Like you can take what you can't do and use that as a tool to focus on what you can do. But if you're only focusing on what you can't do, you and I both know, everyone here knows, Victoria, Glong, Marius, that if you're only focusing on what you can't do, you stay exactly there. You stay stuck. And I love that you shared that. Just two more things. One, I was a professional martial artist. I believe that I will get back to that level. And when I first started martial arts, I had a very important fight, a professional Muay Thai boxing fight. And my coach at the time told me, JP, because you're tall, all your opponents are going to try and get in close to you because you've got long range. So give your first shot always everything you've got. So I went to kick Matt, and I kicked with everything I had. And the guy, rather than blocking like this, he blocked with his elbow out, and I broke my foot into pieces. And I was on crutches for months. And anyway, eventually I got back into training. I said, I feel good, coach. I feel good. And as I got to training, I thought, you know what? My right leg just still isn't good, man. And I said, at least I'll show him that, I'm not going to train. I'm not going to go into action, but I'm going to at least show him that I was here. The intention is strong, but the action is zero. And I said to him, look, I can't train. He said, why can't you train? And I was standing on the ropes. He was in the ring doing a class, and I was outside. And he said, why can't you train? And I said, well, I can't kick with my right leg. It's not healed yet. And he looked at me and he said, well, it's a perfect time to be focusing on your left leg then. And I never, ever forgot that. And when I got told my surgery got canceled, I said to Jules 2 days ago, I've got to find something else to do. I'm going fucking mental. So I said, I'm going to go across to the park. We've never been in our park, right? It's a kid's park. I've never been there since we've lived here. But I said, I'm going to go to the park and I'm just going to have a little mosey around and see what I can do. And I was like, oh, I can do dips there. I can do pull-ups there. So yeah, just a testimony backing up what you just said. It's very powerful. Make it day by day, focus on what you can do. That's it.
Well, I mean, even after the first question, the audience tonight are completely seeing what a positive mindset and what an incredible guy you are, which I think leads on to a great question from Dylan Brown earlier, who asked, did your accident change your mindset and your approach to life? And did it make you learn anything about yourself that you didn't already know? I mean, for someone as smiley and positive as you, there's got to have been some dark days in all of this, surely.
Mm. So, yeah, I mean, look, who did that question come from?
Dylan Brown.
Dylan, man, that is a heated question because there is so much I can share, but it would take me a couple of hours. So the short answer is yes, I learned a lot about myself, and yes, it absolutely changed me. I've been very good. I'm not good at a lot of things in life, but I'm very good at taking anything in my life and creating positive meaning from it, because I know by practice that that's a choice. The meaning that we give anything is a choice. So literally, when I woke up in intensive care, I was like, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And I've been doing that for the last almost 10 months now. I've only been out of hospital for 7 months. Like it's still very, very fresh, but I'm always looking for ways to create a positive association to what happened to me. The biggest thing I probably learned about myself, I'm conscious of Matt's time,
Don't worry,
there's lots of ruffling. I think, is it your thing on your neck or something? Or
sorry, it's
but
my manly chest hair.
there's just want to make sure everyone can hear it okay. Yeah, that's definitely the noise. The biggest thing I learned, Dylan and everyone else, is I had a childhood. I'm going to keep this short. I had a childhood where I didn't want to live that life growing up. So I committed to running away from that experience and chasing a life that I wanted to live, of freedom and choice and significance and contribution. I just wanted a better life. So I spent the first half of my life running away from what I didn't want and running towards what I did want. But I became so good at running, not just ultra running and running marathons and doing triathlons, but running through life, that it was like being on a bullet train. And I was on a fancy bullet train. I was in the VIP or first class section, being waited on, feeling successful, know where I'm going. I've got all my shit around me, my books, I'm learning, I'm reading, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm doing Facebook Lives, I'm coaching people, I'm on social media, but I'm forgetting to look out the window. And as a result of that, I've already missed my stop. I didn't realize what I realized when I woke up until I woke up. And it wasn't just waking up from intensive care. It was waking up from everything that I'd been doing over years. You see, I spent so many years chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing to get to a result of I am a significant person, because I didn't feel significant growing up, and I'm actually making a difference in the world. And I kept putting it in front of me, in front of me, in front of me, in front of me. And I was on this bullet train, and I couldn't actually realize what I realized when I woke up. What I realized when I woke up, when my wife looked at me and I started to be conscious, and she shared with me almost in tears that, JP, there's been love showering in from all over the world, from every country, messages, gifts. The hospital fridge, their kitchen in the hospital, was full of my stuff. Apparently the nurses thought I was a celebrity, and all this, and people raising money for me, and newspapers, and people running events with 200-300 people saying prayers to me and doing group videos, and just all this love coming in all different forms, different vehicles, by gifts, messages, praise, people sending me remote healing from around the world. And when my wife told me all of this, I lay there barely able to lift my head. And I just remember very clearly just crying. And not like crying, just like, I just had a tear and a sigh of relief and a sigh of gratitude, because I realized by me stopping train, I was able to see that I already reached my destination. I didn't have to try anymore. I was so good at chasing that I wasn't able to accept that I'd already achieved what I wanted to achieve. And many of us have tendencies to do that. Sorry, Matt, to interrupt.
No,
we have tendencies to keep looking ahead of us, even though I teach this shit. But I was so good at doing it that I wasn't able to see it myself. So this is the power of coaching. You know, you don't need to have a near-death accident. Some people say, do you need to have a near-death accident to change your life? No, you need a different perspective. So what I got was a different perspective on my life. I was able to look at my life from a different angle. But coaches can do the same for you.
Tell me, because I don't think we've ever talked about this actually.
No.
How is your relationship with people from the very early stages of your life now? Whether that's family or friends who knew you back then. Because I mean, obviously you've gone on a traumatic, no, sorry, dramatic journey, transformation, like permanent life of betterment, if you like.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the person you are now, is unrecognizable, to the person you were 25, 35 years ago. I mean, do family members, look at you in awe, or does this kind of change, almost like, push people away from you because
Yeah.
you're not that boy anymore?
You always ask such good questions, man. I've never been asked that question before, and I would say both. There's certain people in my life, friends and family, that are pleasantly shocked. And they're like, wow, man, you've really created something from your life. And we just want to say, well done, and we're proud of you. I had one of the guys that used to bully the crap out of me in school, and he messaged me 2 years ago and just want to say he's back in South Africa still in the same town, in the same village, whatever. And he just said, man, I'm seeing what you're doing in the world, and I just want you to know we're proud of you. Now, that was a difficult message for me to read. To be honest with you, I never got back to him on that message. It was just too uncomfortable for me. But I get messages like that of support, but also at the same time, Matt, to your other view of what might have happened, is I've pushed a lot of people away. Two reasons. One, because where I'm going, they aren't going to go with me, so I'm not going to carry them. But two, also, in all transparency, a lot of people couldn't keep up, and that's my fault. So I have respect and admiration, but I also have some people wondering, like, where am I? So I'm very grateful for my accident. Most difficult thing I've ever been through in my life, by far. Beats, dealing with the suicide of my father. Like, this has just been crazy because it was a massive disruption on every single part of my life. My identity and who I always believed I've been, which is an athlete and a speaker, to a halt. My business, my career, how I spend my days. I can't run. I run every day. I ran every day for many, many years. If I'm lazy, I do it, 10 miles. Or if I feel like doing a medium run, I'm like half marathon. All of a sudden, 22nd of May, my identity and everything I know that I am gets ripped away from me. But one thing that's been a real blessing is it's given me this new perspective to slow down. And as a result of that experience, I'm able to start adjusting accordingly. And I've started to be more nurturing in certain relationships and more present. I went home after my accident a few months afterwards, and I said to my mother, I'm not going to have my work around me. And that was the first time I've done that in 15 years of being away, 16, 17 years of being away. And after 3 days with my mother, 3 days, my mom shared an emotional moment with me, and she said, thank you, son. I said, thank you for what? She said, for doing this the way you're doing it, for being here the way you're being here. And she said, this is the most time we've ever spent together. And that just choked me up big time, man. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing now. And that's my answer to your relationships question.
Well, I mean, you've talked respect, you've talked admiration. Let's talk about gratitude, because I mean, that's a question and a comment that a couple of people have messaged today. Wanting to know, I guess, how do you use gratitude for success in life? What does gratitude mean to you, and how does it tie in with success?
So I have to quote Tony Robbins here. The ultimate success isn't success; it's fulfillment. And Tony Robbins this is the Tony Robbins quote: "Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure." When I work with my coaching clients, generally they're already successful. Most of my clients are already successful, unless there's someone that really wants to be successful and they're willing to do an investment in themselves. But they're successful on the outside. They have the rewards, the accomplishments, they're celebrated in public. They are adored at work. They have everything that makes you successful on the outside, but they've forgotten that, or they don't know that fulfillment you don't find on the outside, you find on the inside. Not to get too woo-woo personal development on you, but that's true. You'll never find fulfillment on the outside. You have to find it on the inside. And if fulfillment is the ultimate success, where do you go? First of all, you go inside. Then you go to, right, what is success? The success is thinking success, doing success, having success, and being, right? Being successful. Would you say that that's the ultimate version of success? Being successful, feeling successful.
Yep.
So if we take that inward, if the ultimate success is fulfillment, we want to feel fulfilled.
Yep.
And when you feel fulfilled, I wish I had a cup here. It's filled. You are full. When you are truly, truly successful, you feel full. And if you can't be grateful for the things in your life currently, you'll never, ever, 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 ever be full. Which means you might be successful on the outside, but you will never, ever feel successful. Tell you what, Matt, you can strip me from everything. You can strip me my business, my clients, you can crash social media and I can never have access to it again. But you'll never rob me of how I feel inside. No one can take that away because I've done it for so many years. I keep planting gratitude, appreciation, celebration, keep celebrating more things, everything that I'm going through, everything that I've been through, every person that I've met, every experience that I've had. And what I'm doing is I'm increasing my gratitude and I'm filling up my cup so that I get to a point where I always feel full. Now, that's not ignoring, other successes like monetary success or wealth or business success. But if you want to truly create your ultimate limitless success on the outside or your highest level of success, you've got to operate from a place of full. I'm sure you'll agree. Yep. You've got to operate from abundance. You've got to operate from certainty, from energy, from obsession. This is what a true CEO, a great inspirational leader, does. They act like a CEO with certainty, energy, and obsession. And you can't have certainty, you can't have an abundance of energy, and you can't have an obsession for showing up and jumping out of bed at 4 a.m. in the morning or whatever it's going to be for you if you feel in lack, if you feel in scarcity. So gratitude, although very, wishy-washy, personal development, very spiritually, is honestly, Matt and everyone here, it is the number one ingredient for not success on the outside, but fulfillment and true success. And, there's a lot of people that you and I know, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins, they'll say the same thing. Appreciation over expectation. Don't expect to be happy or successful when you get there. Very quickly, I'll just share this. Because the only thing that is now is the present moment. So if you keep conditioning yourself, right, it's like every time you put something in your brain, you're programming yourself. So if you keep programming yourself over a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, that I'll be happy when, what you're saying is my happiness lies in the future. Yes, can I get some hearts up if you agree with that? I'll be happy when you've now put a gap between where you are now and your happiness. Or I'll feel successful when that happens. Now there's a gap between where you are, your present moment, and the future. But now your conditioning, your programming, your paradigm is there's a gap. And there's always, what you're getting used to is there's a gap. So even if you get to a point of success, number one, you won't feel successful because you'll be so used to putting a gap between yourself and your success. But secondly, if you are truly deeply rooted to believe that now there has to be a gap between me and my success, because that's what I've taught myself, even if you amounted or achieved the greatest success, I promise you, you will create a fucking gap. You will lose all your money. You will make a bad investment because you don't know what it's like to feel to feel successful in the present. So you'll give your shit away. You'll make mistakes just so that you can create a gap so you can go back onto your road to feeling successful. And I know this from textbook, from mentors, and from personal experience.
And I think as well in that vein, that's why, you know, when you're setting, we need in business obviously financial targets to have things to strive towards and to be able to judge that the business is growing. But like you say, when your personal happiness targets are based on, well, I'll be happy when I've whatever it is,
Yep.
made 100 grand, bought a Ferrari,
Yeah.
whatever that may be. I think as well that's, you know, unless you are, as you say, you know, truly happy within yourself prior to that. That's why you may smile the day that shiny object comes along, but the you know the novelty wears off pretty fucking quickly. And
Yep. And
I can tell you that from personal experience of
yeah.
all the toys that I've acquired along the way that gather rust in the garage or I don't even particularly want to use again after week one.
And you and I both know, right, that this creates an emotional roller coaster, not just not just an emotional roller coaster, but a momentum roller coaster. You're excited, you're not excited, you want to go, you're pulling back, you're leaning in, you're leaning out. And one of the things that I'm, I guess, celebrated for, right, with all humility, is my consistency. People are always like, JP, you're so consistent, you're so relentless, you always show up. And that's because I don't put my emotions on the thing that I'm doing. But I earned six figures for 6 years. Then I had my accident. And at the point, I'll be completely honest, I was in a place after trying lots of things over the last 3 years and experimenting and stopped speaking for a while and taking a break and trying to move away from the coaching I was doing. I was at a point, May 2019, that I needed to be earning every single second, every single cent or penny of the six figures that I was earning. Then May 22nd, boom, I coach and I speak. You can't do that from hospital. So my ability to earn revenue dropped to nothing, but my happiness didn't change. My work ethic, you said it, Matt, before, go back and look at my social media. Everyone listening here, go back over my social media, pre and post accident, and you try and show me one video where my attitude is different to life. You won't fucking find it, because my
100%.
attitude and my energy is not related to what I have or what I don't have on the outside. It's related to how I feel on the inside, and that I choose before I look at anything on the outside, if that makes sense. I choose how I feel on the inside before I go out in my day and look at the things on the outside. So anyway.
100%. Listen, I mean, I'm conscious of the time and your time and the fact that we're probably three questions into 20 questions.
Yeah,
we could be sat here for 24 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring one more question in, which it's quite a good one for you to answer. But also, obviously, a lot of the people watching this have been competition entrants today, and as you know as well, every day during lockdown, I've been giving £100 away to in my Corona cash crisis giveaway. And every day to be able to be entered into the competition, you've got to comment in some meaningful way on the post of the day. I'll try and involve those questions in the night, and then we pick a winner at random each day, which we announce on this live. So I'm not going to say the person's name. I'm going to see if they're watching. But I'm going to ask you the question. You can answer it. Then hopefully at the end, if they've not written on the screen, I'll tell you who today's winner is. But the question is, if I can just find this, yeah, what are the 4 pillars of a good life? I think that was genuinely picked at random, but I think it's a pretty good question and a nice one to finish the night on as well. So if you are watching this, you can send us some whoop signals at the bottom while JP answers.
So the very short answer, great question. And I would say I talk about influence a lot. I look for my clients to be better influencers so they can be better leaders. And there's 4 areas of influence. And really, you master these 4 areas and you're going to have, regardless of anything outside of your life, I promise you, internally, you're just going to live your greatest life. You're going to live your best life. And it's to master your physical self, your emotional self, your mental self, and your spiritual self. I call these the 4 areas of influence. So if you want to, look, if you want to have your best life, you need to learn and you need to practice influencing yourself to the best ability, to the highest degree. And you've got to look at those 4 areas. I will never, and this is not a judgment, I'm very truthful, I speak straight. I will never believe that someone truly deep down believes they're living their best life if they're physically unfit. And I don't mean 6-pack abs. You can be overweight, but if you're training every day of your life, I know that you feel a lot better about yourself than you do when you're not doing it. Right?
100%.
Let's look way beyond body fat here. It's remember I said you change your life and you live your life one day at a time. So if someone has physical mastery over themselves and they get out of their own way when it comes to their physical selves, I'm telling you now, that's the first place where you got to start. I know that every single person I've ever worked with, anyone I've ever given advice, and anyone I've ever asked this question, when speaking in audiences, and I've spoken in 16 different countries, and I asked them, do you feel better when you work out? Every single person has always said yes. So why would you not do the thing that always makes you feel good? Secondly, emotional mastery. There's no good having a fit body if you have, if you're emotionally unwell. Like for example, I'm not going to go into this because of time. We're almost going on an hour. But if you are not grateful, right? Emotions is about feelings, and it's about emotions are putting energy into motion. If you don't have gratitude, you have the opposite of that. So what's the opposite of gratitude? Anger, resentfulness,
Hate, yeah.
scarcity thinking, hate, all of those negative emotions. Now, because emotion is energy put into motion, take that energy and put it into motion and tell me you're going to have your best life. Won't happen. Next is mental mastery. You're either growing or dying. If you want to truly master your life, you've got to always be in a constant state of growth. Never, ever, ever think that you know enough. Never, ever think that good enough is good enough. Good enough should never be good enough. You should always seek to know more. Because the more you know, the more you grow, the more you learn, the more you earn, the more you read, the more you succeed. And I'm not talking about reading books. I'm talking about consuming anything, information, education, inspiration, motivation. Like just go out of your way to learn something new. Because that new thing you consume, because you are what you eat and you are what you consume. That new thing that you consume this evening or tomorrow could be the thing that changes the trajectory of your life or business, or changes the quality of your relationship. I've read one thing that's taken my relationship to another level. I've learned something else from an event that's made me change what I do on social media. So always keep learning and always understanding that your mind is never full, it's always seeking. So if you want to have the best life, you want to focus on mental influence, mental mastery, keep learning, keep learning, keep learning, keep growing. Many ways to do that. Experiences, coaching, mentors, books, audios, Blinkist, podcasts, social media, Matt Haycox's videos, my videos. And then the fourth part and the top of the triangle when influencing yourself and living your best life, it is spiritual influence and living from a place of service. At the most spiritual level of self-actualization, your life no longer becomes about you. It becomes about others. It becomes about altruism and living for others and living in service of others. And when you get to this point, you will truly master your life. Now, you're not really going to live a life consistently being an altruist, consistently being self-actualized and living from service and serving from your heart, even in your business, if your head's not right, your emotions aren't right, and your body aren't right. So don't even think about spiritual mastery until you've done the first 3. But when you've got to a level of spiritual existence where you never feel lack, you always feel abundant, you always want to contribute rather than consume, rather than looking to get, you always look for ways to give. and you realize that the universe is always in fair exchange. And the more you do this, the more you receive, and therefore the more you want to do it, then you've truly mastered your life. That's my answer.
Well, that's a very good one, buddy.
Sorry, I can't help it. I just want to say, everyone, thank you so much for all the comments. I'm seeing so many different comments. Thank you so much. We can't go through them. I can't help but see this one comment from Ben 1996. Full of shit, him. I'm not sure if that's directed at you or me, but I just want to say, yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, Ben. I really appreciate your feedback, or Matt really appreciates your feedback. What we go through, we grow through.
I mean, no, there's been so many comments tonight, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. With everything you've had to say, and I mean, the takeaways for everyone tonight. I mean, even though we've not been, really 2 minutes. We haven't scratched the surface on the kind of stuff we could have taught from you. But there's so much, immediately actionable stuff that people can take away tonight. And somebody actually asked me a question yesterday, which was, what do I want to try and achieve or get out of every interview, or what's my goal with every interview I do? And my answer was that regardless of who I'm interviewing, whether it's a sports person, a celebrity, a business person, a coach, all I really go into it wanting to come out with is an immediately actionable, tangible takeaway, whatever that may be, but something that I can take away and implement in my business or implement in my life, to see immediate results from. And anyone who has listened to even 10 minutes of this, never mind the 53 minutes that we've been online for, there is no way that you can't go and radically improve every single aspect of your life. But I guess the reality is, like what JP said at the very beginning, if anyone wasn't online then, is the reality is everyone puts it off until tomorrow. And I'm sure most people have been listening to this content going, "Oh, that's fucking brilliant. Yeah, that's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do." But then we get back on the couch, we watch Netflix, and tomorrow we start all over again, watching another motivational video, being motivated by that, and rinse, repeat. So please take it from me as someone who knows JP personally, that the strategies work. The guy is 100% legit. And any one thing you want to go and implement tonight will make an unbelievable difference in any aspect of your business and your life.
I'll make it really easy for them. Thank you very much. I spoke about changing your life one day at a time. Go away. This is your actionable step from me. And once again, thanks for all the comments. Say UAE Amina, Salam Alaikum Akhi, MTY. Yeah, just thank you guys. Angela, Divine, Flat Essex. I've got to figure out who that is. Mimi. Okay, this is for you guys. I'm seeing a few handles that I actually recognized from my social media. So I think we've got some mutual connections. But every single day, be conscious of your habits. Your habits are the things that you do without thinking. At the highest, most powerful level of your habits, you do them unconsciously. You don't think about them. So I'm asking you to get conscious on what you're doing unconsciously, because I promise you, I'm going to try and keep this in 60 seconds. The things you're doing every day, either consciously or unconsciously, but more powerfully unconsciously, those things are determining who you're becoming. So whether it's the first thoughts you're having, the first meal that you eat, or you don't even drink water, you go straight for the coffee and you dehydrate yourself even further, or the first conversation you have at work is about moaning about this or that, or you come home and your habit is you always come home and you communicate with your family or your kids from a place of stress. Just notice. Don't judge. Just notice. Go away and start to write down, what are the things that I'm doing every day more consistently than anything else? I promise you that the life that you're having and the quality of your life is a direct match of those things. Now, if you change those things first consciously, put them into practice until they become unconscious, I'm telling you the opposite is also true. You will have a life that is a direct mirror of those habits. See, people say, JP, resilient and consistent, and even through not perfect, right? But even though everything that I go through in my life and the challenges that I have, I still show up every day. Yeah, that's because I know if I don't show up every day, that's the quality of my life. Does that make sense?
100%, mate.
If
100%.
I don't show up in one single thing, Matt, then I know I'm doing it in other areas. And so that means if I'm inconsistent, this is in my crazy world. If I'm inconsistent with doing something, I have now given my unconscious self permission to do it in other areas. Fuck that. I will not give myself that permission. So find the habits, change the habits, and you'll change your life.
Perfect. And listen, guys, I just want to say, bear in mind, I've heard some of JP stuff before, and obviously I know him on a personal level, and I've still got 2 pages of notes from my own fucking life, right? So if you guys haven't been jotting down some of this stuff, you do not know what you're missing out on. But please go. I'll keep this live for 24 hours, and like all my lives now, it's gonna get transferred over to my YouTube page over the next couple of days as well. So make sure you go back and watch again and make some notes. Even taking one thing away from this is going to make such a material impact on everything you do. If you're not following JP already, which I can't believe I've never seen such a static number of people on the live. So I can't believe that anyone isn't already following you. But if they're not, click on it. Make sure you follow JP. I hope I'm going to get you back on here again. I'm sure if we don't have you for a while, the guys are going to love following you and seeing your content directly anyway. And just thank you again, mate. It's been fantastic to see your face. It's been a while. The time goes quick, and I look forward to having you back in Leeds. Well, Marbella, that's where we said we're getting together, didn't we? So as soon as this lockdown's done, you can kick my ass on the beach, and I'm going to look forward to seeing you in the flesh in the sun.
Looking forward to that, Matt. Some more burpees.
All right, buddy. Well, listen,
thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone for being online. Sorry we didn't get to talk to as many of you individually tonight, or do all the waves and all the fancy emojis and stuff. But your presence has been super appreciated. Your comments every day are, as are your messages, and thank you once again.
Let's do it again, Matt. To everyone here, you haven't missed out in any way. I'm happy to do this again and again, man. Like I said, I choose my inner circle carefully. You're in my inner circle. So let me just turn that off. That's Grant Cardone's people trying to sell me something. I notice that number from Florida every time. Grant Cardone's office calling me. Happy to do it again, man. Let's connect again, and when this coronavirus is over, I'll come see you.
I'm gonna save the rest of the questions that we didn't get to talk about, and we'll definitely do them over the next week or so. So awesome.
Cool,
buddy,
man.
Great to see you.
Cheers, guys.
See you all later. Take care. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.